Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Mastery Monday, where every Monday I'll be bringing you training content and up-to-date information to help you overcome some of the biggest challenges that we see sales organizations make and sales reps make when we're out with customers, helping them overcome challenges and close their skill gap. So grab a pen and paper, grab a coffee, and let's get into this. So the topic for today is account load and account selection. So what I see far too much is reps are working way too many accounts, especially mid-market enterprise reps, and the result is poor messaging or reaching out to the wrong organization at the wrong time and then not reaching out to the right organization at the right time as a result, okay? And this leads to no meetings, lack of pipeline, missed revenue goals, okay? So we're going to break down how many accounts should you have and how do you work those effectively? What are the top mistakes that reps are making? I'm going to give you one question that I want you to answer to qualify that account so that you have a better success rate when you outreach to them. How many accounts should you be running? How to select the right accounts. We're going to talk about first party and third party signals. We're going to talk about triggers and then really great ways to easily manage your account so that you can navigate that kind of process a bit more effectively as well. So let's talk about the top mistakes. So I typically sit on a coaching call or I'm in the sales office with the sales organization. I ask a couple of sellers, hey, take us through like your book of business, how you filtered it, how you structured it, that kind of stuff. And they usually really struggle to do that because they haven't got any like formal structure or system that's helping them do that. So then when I'm like, okay, cool, like show me the sequence, and they show me the sequence and a couple of prospects in the sequence, and I ask them this one specific question, in most cases, I'd say like 95% plus, it's tumbleweed. And that's what's killing a lot of outreach and making it really hard, not just for them, but for the rest of us. So that one question that I want you to ask when you look at your accounts, okay? So before you opt them into an outbound sequence, calls, emails, LinkedIn, direct mail, everything else, is I want you to better ask this one question for the account, which is why, and that is in capitals, it's bold, it's underlined. Why does this specific account need to meet with us now? And now is bold, capitals, underlined. So why does this account specifically need to meet with us now? And if we can answer that question really, really clearly, DM me if you want to see what that looks like, by the way. We're probably going to have a higher success rate because we're going to be reaching out with a super relevant message. The problem is so many sellers just take the same message and send it to the same bunch of people and it doesn't resonate, it doesn't land, okay? Having a bunch of accounts that match your ICP just isn't good enough. It's just not right. Like there could be 1,000 companies that match your ICP, but only 57 of them are actively speaking to vendors or whatever, right? So we need to identify at best we can who those 57 are and then figure out a plan to how do we pull the rest into the market. Yeah. How do we create demand? And that's like really good messaging, that kind of stuff. Good strategy there. Okay. So really, really important. So how many accounts would you have? So I've got a bit of a breakdown that I want to take you through here, okay? So I'm going to start with the account executive. Then I'm going to start with the SDR and give you kind of rough numbers for like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Okay, so follow me through to the end. So for account executives, from an account load perspective, I recommend like 75 to 150 accounts. Okay, so if you're holding 150 accounts, like that's probably the top end. So what does that look like from a tier perspective? So tier 1, let's say their core ICP fit and there's high intent or high trigger activity. So I'm going to focus on those. Think blood, sweat, and tears. I'm going to put everything into those accounts. You want about 15 to 30 of those accounts, okay? So that you've got enough time to properly work them. Remember, you're going to have like 3 to 5 contacts per account as well. So those numbers will ramp up, don't worry. Tier 2, so there's good ICP fit, but there's some signals, there's some triggers, but not as good as tier 1s. I'm going to have like 30 to 50 of those accounts. And then tier 3, there's some ICP fit, but there's no intent, no triggers. I'm literally just hoping I can catch these people with a really great message. There's like 30 to 70 of those accounts. They're going to be very low touch. There's going to be probably more like super relevant industry and persona-based messaging, but I'm not going to spend ages personalizing those messages, okay? For the SDR, recommend account load is about 125 to 300, depending on the segment, which I'm going to get into in a minute. Tier 1, again, good fit ICP, high intent, high signals, 25 to 50 accounts. Tier 2, so there's good ICP fit, some signals, some triggers, 50 to 100. And then tier 3, there's some ICP fit, there's no intent, there's no triggers. 50 to 150, again, a lot less manual personalization, more super specific industry persona based messaging, but a bit more automation there. Okay. So the variables that influence the rep account load, there's two things basically that I look for. So deal size and sales cycle length. So if I'm selling like enterprise deals at 6 figures and above, that on ACV, average contract value, then really a rep wants to be having 20 to 50 active accounts. If it's mid-market, so like 25 to 100K ACV, 50 to 100 accounts, and then if it's SMB, under 25K, it's a lot more transactional, high velocity sales. 100 to 150 accounts. Okay. Sales cycle length, if you've got short sales cycles, so like you're closing deals out in like 30, 60 days, you're obviously going to need more accounts. So that might influence your account load, but also longer complex deals, fewer, more focused strategic accounts is probably what you need there. Okay. And then some final tips. I think reps should be working 3 to 5 contacts per account to ensure strong penetration rates. Always, 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 you see me talking about this a lot, like opt for clear, not clever. So opt for quality, not quantity, especially for AEs. You don't want to be burning through accounts, okay? Use intent or fit scoring. So work with your RevOps team or your marketing organization to help you create like a dashboard or a view where you can very quickly see like high intent leads, people that have got a high score, whatever it might be. Rotate out cold, unresponsive accounts every like 30, 45 days just to keep you focused on like really relevant accounts. Yeah, a bunch of different tips there, but just something to think about from an account volume perspective. So let's talk about how do I select the accounts. Let's say I'm like, hey, I need to have like 75, 100 accounts. How do I know which one should qualify for those 75 or 100? So a couple of things we can look at. So there's first party and there's third party signals. I'm not going to go into a load of detail here. You can probably find a load of stuff out online. But first party is basically companies coming to your website. So website tracking software. I use HubSpot CRM for my business, but I can get insights on who's visiting the website, what pages they're looking at, that kind of stuff. And then I'm going to use that as a trigger to qualify that account into my account list and then run a prospecting campaign into them. Third party signals could be things like people going to like, blogs or publication sites. I used to sell software that used to track this stuff a long time ago, 2018, 2017. It drops cookies on their devices and things like that and tells you which companies are consuming content. It's obviously not as powerful as first party, but it's definitely a signal that might help you qualify in those accounts. And then triggers. So again, I've got a ChatGPT prompt. If you want it, just DM me. Super, super simple. It's also in the free prospecting course. You can get a link to sign up to that on my profile. But triggers, but like, oh, they're hiring. Like there's definitely some other ones that you can use. So like imagine like I was selling, here's a real example. So I was sat on the sofa one evening. I got an inbound from a director of sales enablement. She was actually hiring a sales trainer at the time, but was like, hey, our team need training. We've got 15, 20 sellers, and I'm not going to be able to hire a sales trainer in time. We need to upskill the team. Can you help? Right. So like, I just thought, hey, like, I wonder if I could just find companies that were hiring a sales trainer. They're obviously hiring a sales trainer for a reason. Like you don't go and spend all of that money to hire somebody because you have some change left at the end of the year and you need to spend it. Like you're hiring those people to come in and drive change, right? So if I read between the lines, I can make that up. So definitely think about different triggers that will qualify in. Could be like they've raised money and you see in the press release that they're going to be investing half of it into product or whatever, right? Then you can kind of form some kind of hypothesis around that and qualify them in. Could be a bunch. Like let's imagine you sold like office furniture and you could see that they were considering, you saw a LinkedIn post from somebody like going around and checking out office space. Like again, that would be a good trigger to reach out, right? So just think about, I've got all of these accounts. There's hundreds and hundreds of accounts in Salesforce and HubSpot that are allocated to me. If I want to do like a proper job and get strong penetration into those accounts, I have to work a smaller number. How do I qualify who they are so that when I do all of the hard work, cold calling 100 times a day, sending 30 personalized emails, sending videos out, handwritten letters, whatever it is you're doing to cut through the noise, you're giving yourself the best chance to be successful because it's the right account at the right time. And then you combine that with a really powerful message. And then finally, like managing these accounts, like inside of CRM, so Salesforce or HubSpot or your sales engagement platform like Salesloft Outreach or Gong, like just set up views and use filters or fields to help you show you like ICP tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, that kind of stuff. Like get your RevOps team or your marketing team, whoever it is that owns CRM, get them to add specific fields for you so that you can then update those fields or check that there's not a field already that exists, because it probably already is, and update those and then use that to manage your list effectively. If you don't have like a super sophisticated CRM, or like, Salesforce admins are like in a completely different country and you can't like influence what fields get added, then maybe just put it into like a Google Sheet or an Excel document and manage it that way. Ultimately, you just need to see like your priority accounts, right? Which are the accounts you're going to put blood, sweat, and tears into, and then how do you easily access them and run a campaign? So, hope this was helpful. A lot of this content today has been taken directly out of our free prospecting course. You can grab a link to it. It's on my profile. There's cold call scripts, there's AI tools, there's email templates, best practices, video scripts like Vidyards and things like that, voice notes, coaching tools, a bunch of different resources. So go check out that. If you've got any questions on any of this stuff, let me know. Otherwise, I will see you next week for another episode of Mastery Monday. Thanks for watching.